Are we ready? I think we're ready. Check. Whoop. That audio might be a little hot. It's a green day today. It is, in fact, a green day today. Good morning. Hello, everybody around the world. All right. Welcome. We are live. I think we're live. Give everybody a second. I think I just pushed it out. So just go on YouTube. So push it out, retweet it, whatever you got to do. But welcome. By the way, thank you guys for hopping in. I think I was born ready. The Jasonistas in the house. Good morning. It is time. Miss Cleo. Was she right? I don't know. I do not know. But AMD, yeah. AMD is a crazy one. Evan's in the airport. I texted him if he wanted to come in, and he actually said he might hop in. But if you, yeah, AMD was like just absolutely insane. I haven't seen it. It's holding 200. It is holding. It is absolutely holding 200. Yeah, there's some earnings coming in. I see your comments. Hoodie with a little bit of a pullback. Some people it was not hoodie brokerages. I say hoodie, not just Robinhood. It was like all brokerages, not all. I don't have a problem with Schwab or Toss. But I don't, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a Robinhood specific issue this morning. So if you had I just think Robinhood's just getting that big that everybody's realizing, because now they're on Robinhood and they're like, oh, my brokerage isn't working, blah, 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 blah. I would not really put a lot of thought into it. But welcome. If you're new to the channel, again, subscribe, give it a like. Appreciate you guys hopping in here. But what we do here every Monday around roughly the lunch hour is take a look at what happened last week and take a look at what the major headlines were this week so far and what we have in store moving forward. We might plan out a couple trades. We'll talk about some major economic news, major headline, and possibly some catalysts on the way. If you're looking at some potential trades, we do have a section towards the end. We might take a look at some tickers, maybe find some key areas of interest, maybe some trade ideas, and we might drop we usually drop some pretty cool value for you. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, definitely Hood, Fidelity. I think E-Trade also had some other issues. So it was definitely not just Robinhood. But yeah, Schwab, TOS was, as always, working like butter. But yeah, we can take a look. So drop some tickers if you want. PayPal looking good. And we'll take a look at those after the show or after the main pieces of this get through. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this. And today's thumbnail, obviously, AMD and OpenAI Deal. This thing, my goodness. AMD opens up this morning. I'm looking at my ticker tape across CNBC. I'm like, is that real? And I'm looking at this as like, we do our TA all the time. And I knew, because, if you're watching any of the streams on any of the channels, whether it's my channel, Amit's channel, or like a Wolf Trading channel that we're on, and it's like, all right, so AMD had been chopping around, huge run off 90s. Congrats, by the way. And it had been stuck just underneath 160, but it had been hitting its head on this technical ceiling just around 162. And last week, before this headline hit, it had actually closed over 162. So from a technical perspective, if you had been following the channel or us or anywhere along that like train of thought, you actually knew, hey, this was already breaking out. But this morning, my goodness, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, is that real life? Like, is that for real? Because I was looking at something that said like 40% up in the pre-market, and I'm like, holy what? And yeah, that geez, that was real life. So that one, look, there's a lot of headlines to get through, but that was a breaking news thing. OpenAI is like a multi-gigawatt GPU deal with AMD. Look, it's just the whole AI sector, right? This Sam and Jensen came out a couple weeks ago, did a similar kind of thing, and it was just like, oh man, you were looking at 7 a.m. It was only up 15%, and then boom. I mean, 15% is a lot. But yeah, then when the headlines, like people really start to get a hold of this thing, it's like, wow. So we'll see if it holds on to these gains. That's fine. You know what? From a technical perspective, 185 was absolutely in the cards. 200 at that point, you're actually kind of there anyways. If you hold 185, this was just 225 was just an extension of whatever that breakout would have been. So essentially it just made the whole move in a single shot, which, by the way, if you're familiar with AMD, this is kind of how she rolls. So par for the course, this is AMD's personality as a stock. She doesn't do anything until all of a sudden it decides to wake up and like, well, bam, momentum, the Momo, it's a momentum type stock. This is how AMD has always been. And if it goes on a run, it decides to go on a run. But if it fizzles out, then it also fizzles out pretty steadily, and that's just kind of the personality of AMD. And it went sideways for like a good over 30 days, I feel like. So it was due for a move one way or the other. It just happened to be to the upside. So congrats again for any long-term shareholders that were in the low 80s. That's an epic pickup, not even that long ago. So, or even just recently. I know some of our crew, if Carl's in the house, even some of our crew that just went in recently or added recently, it was just like huge. Andy, welcome. Appreciate you, man. Make sure you subscribe every Monday, like mostly clockwork at the lunch hour, but it's a good time to take a break from the markets. Monday mayhem, we call, markets are usually settling down right about now, but let's take a look at what we have in store. So overall, listen, government shutdown, canceled or delayed economic reports. That's what we have going on. And I mean, stocks defying shutdown fears. That's what it is, right? Last week, we talked about getting possibly like ADP, which is a similar kind of data point. It's the public markets, non-farm payrolls. It's not been nearly as relied upon, but in the absence of non-farm payrolls, that's what the market's going to rely on. And we did get ADP last Wednesday, which came in super light. It came in and I'll pull it up, but I believe I posted it. It was like negative. Let me pull up my X feed. It was like negative something. Let me see what it was. Sorry. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. This is, it was negative 32,000 on a consensus of positive 50,000. And honestly, that came on October 1st. And that's what the market's running off of. And even if we didn't get that, I'll tell you what's true also is that the market's just basing everything here on what we had last, which is September. So until something changes, nothing's changing. So that's what's going to be true. And until then, look at this. I was just looking at this. With this government shutdown continued, this is all the data that we're not going to get. So sure, non-farm payrolls, but CPI, PPI, GDP, jobless claims, any and all wage data, housing stats, retail sales, import, export prices, all BLS data, Bureau of Economic Analysis, all of it. It's just like, we're not going to get any of it. And so we basically just lean on the last data we had or any kind of commercial stuff until the shutdown commences, like ends, which, who knows? But under Trump, I think this is the third government shutdown that we've had. Funny thing. I was talking to Mama Gaines or wifey, and she's not into the stock market, but she's like, did you know that Trump? She's not a Trumper, by the way. I live in California, but she's like, did you know that Trump once said that if the government shuts down, it would be the president's fault? And she pulls up this TikTok thing, and I'm like, oh my God. It was like, there he was, but it was funny. But yeah, there you have it. Government shutdown. This is, I think, the third shutdown I was reading this morning under Trump, and it is what it is. The market will be like Steve when all the data is coming out. I don't care. I think you're exactly right? Like, that's what's happening, right? Like, the market obviously is not caring right now, and even if we got the data, the ADP data that we did get, here's what I was saying. And if you watched last week's stream, to me, it was like this. The October NFP data was likely to come in light, which when ADP did come in, it was going to be light. And it's like this every year. October NFP comes in and it's pretty light in general. And then when you get November NFP, typically annually, November non-farm payrolls, which is, by the way, if you're not familiar with this economic data point, what non-farm payrolls is and why it's so important to the market and why people are making a big deal about it right now is because that is the number that essentially represents how many new jobs are taken in the economy. And the reason that people care about how many new jobs are taken in the economy is because that, in essence, is tied to how much money people should have to spend. Meaning, if you play it the tape through, if there are more people taking more jobs, they have more money to spend. And if people have more money to spend, then companies make more money because people are spending more money, and GDP overall goes up, and the companies that we trade stocks of every day should therefore go up because everybody makes more money. And that is the logic behind why non-farm payrolls is the most forward-looking economic stat that we get every month, and why non-farm payrolls kind of is the most important piece of the market every month, and why it becomes really the trend every month, and why it's such a big deal that we don't have it. So without it, we lean on ADP, but again, I digress. And with this October number coming in, fine, cool, it's light, but November should capture what we will call seasonal jobs, right? So like seasonal employment coming in, people bulking up staff for the holiday seasons. And usually October marks kind of like the low of the job market anyways. So I think that's just kind of what the market's assuming as it is. In addition to that, bad news is good news for rate cuts right now. And so with ADP coming in light, well, that's good news for rate cuts. And what you're seeing in the market right now off that reaction is, hey, look, the probability of us getting those accelerated rate cuts towards the end of this year is higher. And equity markets are liking that. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And there you have it. You guys, oh my God. Anyways, so this is why stocks are defying the shutdown fears in essence, because they don't really care. And we're probably going higher. At the same time, every day, we're getting another deal. This AMD OpenAI deal, I'm just going to lay this down like this, is that this is just another headline of many, many, many more headlines to come. If it wasn't AMD and OpenAI this morning, it was Meta and CoreWeave last week. If it wasn't Meta and CoreWeave last week, it was Microsoft and nbis the week before. This is not stopping. Think about that. That was like back to back to back to back. There's going to be another one by the time I'm here next week. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's probably going to be Amazon and somebody else. Maybe we think about Amazon. I don't know. But just saying, there's going to be more deals like this. There's going to be more stuff. But the AI build out right now it's not stopping. So anyways, other than that, there are a lot of other headlines that are happening too. Japan's Nikkei hits record highs. That index is, that's another thing happening right now. under the radar stuff, Fifth Third Bancorp acquires Comerica. I've been talking about this regional banking situation for a long time. I think we might see a lot more acquisitions within the space. So Comerica is more of a regional bank right here, Target. I like the old New York Community Bank. I like that one, but these might become more acquisition targets than anything. But with rate decreases coming down, or at least the velocity of rates coming down faster, this is better, right? And then Tesla teasing a possible new product launch, which I don't know if they've said anything. Japan got a new prime minister. Oh, there you go. This Nikkei turnaround honestly has been happening since the end of what they call YCC, or yield curve control. So this is not a new thing. This has been happening for, I want to say, over a year now, but it's a big turnaround for sure. Let me see. Yeah, we had some other IPOs. Shawbrook accelerates an IPO. UK Challenger Bank, Shawbrook. Andrea Goldman Sachs for a new IPO listing. JP Morgan flags muni bonds as a buy. That flagging muni bonds as a buy, I didn't put that on here, but that is saying, hey, look, these near-term rates are for sure coming down. That's actually confirmation. Yeah, I think the most under the radar thing is this Fifth Third Bancorp to acquire Comerica. So again, other banks possibly acquiring larger banks acquiring regional banks is still maybe not regionals going up by just sheer asset appreciation, but possibly by acquisition. But Comerica was up quite a bit too. The Japanese Prime Minister dovish leading to the bump. I mean, I like Toyota way lower. I mean, but if you'd seen what's I forgot the ticker. SoftBank's ticker. Oh my God. SoftBank is just through the roof. There's a lot of other, I forgot the other, there's a couple like key Japanese equities that are just completely destroying it right now. Like really good. Yeah, last I looked, Tesla was up by 4% on this teased headline too. This is, I think it was the Roadster, possibly, but we'll see. I did want to check in on this, which we haven't looked at in a long time, and this is this is seasonality. So we are now into October. I believe Yom Kippur is coming soon. I believe when is Yom Kippur? This week. So it was Sell Rosh Hashanah by Yom Kippur. That was the high holy days, or at least the saying, if you will. And we've made it out of September historically, the rough patch. It was just more choppy than anything this year. But this is where we are, year one of the presidential cycle. And we typically tend to run into a bit of a nice little rally right here into year two. This year so far is not looking like this type of a doldrum, but really it's like year 3, 4 look really good. So, I mean, we don't know what year 2 is really going to look like. I heard a little blip. No, but we don't know what year 3 and 4 is really going to look like so far. But from here moving forward, normally this is the dip buys that you're actually looking for. I think I do have I heard a little, I think we have somebody hopping in from the airport. Is that?
Yo, I'm not quite at the airport yet. I'm on the way.
Oh, he's not at the airport yet.
I'm still at my house before I go to the airport.
Oh, well, I appreciate you hopping in, man.
I appreciate you for having me and hanging out. This will be a shorter one. Maybe you're still live by the time I get there and I can join back, but I couldn't miss 2 weeks in a row. I couldn't miss 2 weeks in a row.
Well, it's all good. He's heading out to the middle of nowhere. That's all I know.
Yeah. Middle of the country.
You have been missed.
I'm leaving EST, unfortunately. I'm excited. If I could pre-put my name in, give me an Apple and a bmnr for when we're at that point later.
Apple and bmnr.
I will rewatch the stream.
We did have bmnr over 60 this morning. I haven't checked it lately. Oh,
I'm
Apple
sorry for interrupting and wrecking the flow. What were you talking about?
No. It could be good. We're just looking at some seasonality stuff. I'm not sure like where we're gonna land because this year's seasonality has been a little off. But yeah, towards the end of October is usually where we start to get a little hot and heavy. But man, we are just we're just ripping already. This week we don't have a whole lot. Were there any headlines that stood out for you? Well, I have you, Evan, since you're the market news. Or today.
You talked about the AMD one. I'm sure there's no way you didn't.
Yeah.
Fifth Thirds and Comerica. I know you've talked a little bit of this.
I actually did hit that.
Some points. So that one I thought was maybe a little bit interesting.
I did, yeah.
Tesla event tomorrow.
So there is a Tesla event officially tomorrow?
I don't know, but everyone seems to be talking about that. And they, in one of their teaser videos, it did say 10/7. So there's definitely something happening tomorrow. And then everyone in the know seems to be talking about that there is a Tesla event, a release event coming tomorrow. So, yes, it seems like there is.
Have you checked the site? It was not pre-announced then.
I don't know. I don't know the exact details here, but it looks pretty legit from the sources.
Interesting.
So that was another one.
I saw a teasing of a product launch. Something.
One headline that went pretty under the radar this morning: American Express adding ads to its platform. Now
I did get a whiff of that,
but maybe that's a nice little business angle for them. Stock didn't move. I don't know if we look back and see on anything there, but AXP adding ads.
AXP adding ads to what is that, to their rewards platform?
Basically, yeah. Right now it was on there. They tested it on their rewards platform. That's where they were testing it out. But basically, all their branded areas, they're going to put ads. He believes it was postponed, is what Z said.
What was postponed? The American Express or the Tesla event?
Tesla event, probably. I don't think so. I would see them talking about it, but cheaper Model Y has been driving around with covers on. We'll see. But I don't believe the event.
You don't want the Roadster? I mean, what are we doing?
It's not
Roadster or cheaper Model Y?
They've already did that release event, and that just doesn't move the needle.
No.
People are excited about the cheaper Model Y because they think it, could drive sales.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, other than that, I just don't. I was just looking at like how much data we might not get at all, depending on how long this government shutdown is going to last. We'll see. I think it's just laughable at this point, but yeah, we shall see. Right now, there's not a whole lot of that on the radar for this week. The only thing that we had, we have a 10-year auction. So, by the way, the auctions are not getting delayed. Those are happening. Treasury's staying open. That's not getting shut down. And we are slated to get FOMC minutes on Wednesday. And Jay Powell has a little note, he has a little opening statement, opening remarks scheduled for Thursday, which I'm sure he will get absolutely ambushed on Thursday morning. Other than that, I mean, 10-year note on Wednesday, which does move the market. And then FOMC minutes released on, 10-year note and FOMC minutes on Wednesday. And then Jay Powell has some opening comments scheduled for Thursday. But let's hop over to Evan's post. And take a look at some catalysts. So here's Evan's thumbnail, capital close.
I do that amazing, but I was happy with my photo.
No, yeah. So bmnr Oklo. I haven't looked at Oklo lately, but yeah, the nukes are just. I just assumed they're all going to be going. I ended up just caving and end up buying Talon Energy a while ago, sub 400, because I was like, this thing's going. Last I checked, it was like 450 the other day, but they have a nuclear facility. It's 430 right now. Smaller cap, but it's like coal, nat gas, and nuclear. Smaller though. Anyways, Novagold. Let's see, IPOs. What's up with the new IPO that was listing? Did you catch anything on that?
I think I've been a little bit out of the radar. I don't know specifically which one you're talking about.
All right. Gaming Industry Expo in Vegas, MGM, Caesars, Boyd, and Flutter. It'd be really cool if Robinhood showed up at this Gaming Industry Expo. That would be wild.
It probably will, or the prediction markets might be there. Or maybe stay away.
Well, no, it's happening today. So we would know, I guess. Tomorrow, okay, so tomorrow, Amazon. Prime Day sales event?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
It is like their October Prime Day sales thingy. I don't know. They do a bunch of these, but this is a Prime Day event. So if you want to buy anything on Amazon, allegedly, maybe it's cheaper tomorrow.
We'll take a look. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the holiday shopping season. 2-day Amazon Prime Day deals. All right. And Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and Nordstrom's and Kohl's. There you have it. Semicon West, Intel, TSM, AMAT, ASML, Atlassian on Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Yeah, we're in the nothingness for earnings so far. Delta, Levi's, Pepsi, Tilray Thursday. Not really gonna. Yeah.
I mean, more people are talking about them. Honestly, in my real life, outside of this stuff, too many conversations around those companies.
Around Delta?
No, around like the weed stocks. Like all the people a lot of these people in the stock world love it.
I mean, they've always, when it actually happens, dude, it's just gonna be crazy because they've hung around for so long, dude, so long. Okay, I'll put this on everybody else's radar. Elastic, if they're having an analyst day, this is an insanely high beta stock. I don't know where they're gonna play in AI, but just in data in general, this is it's like Docker. Like this is a data play for sure. American Blockchain Event, Paramount Skydance, David Ellison, EA. Still not a fan of EA? Probably not. A lot of casino stuff happening right now.
EA, like I just been playing the game. I don't know. I see what they're on it, but they're gonna take it private. So who even cares?
Yeah, CRISPR Therapeutics. I mean, it's at 70 right now. That might be a solid news event. And that's Friday. Okay, calendar. Yeah, we did. What I didn't say is how many Fed speeches we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fed speeches today.
Don't worry, the Fed is not closed.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 speeches on Wednesday. Or is that tomorrow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 speeches tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4 on Wednesday. Then Powell Thursday, plus 1, 2, 3 more on Thursday. And then still speeches on Friday. So yeah, they're all talking. There's a lot of yapping going on. So if nothing else, they'll be talking about what they're thinking about. That's for sure. And I think then the earnings hub. Yeah, so earnings hub, very, very minimal. So Constellation tonight.
Scroll down a little on the next post. Next week, we're back, though. We're back, baby. Yeah, JP Morgan's next Tuesday.
There you go.
We got the ASML and Bank of America and stuff like that. So that's the bank week. That's kind of the prelude where you're like, I don't actually care about what I'm hearing for the most part, but we're getting numbers. ASML should be interesting. Week after, we got Netflix and Tesla. And so next week is earnings season starts to back. Week after that, it starts to get exciting. Week after that should be a peak mega cap tech earnings. So next time we do this, you'll be able to put earnings season is here. Could be the title. Bang.
Yeah.
Earnings season.
I'll just say this.
Government still shut down? Question mark.
Huh.
That's next week's title.
Yeah. So we're 2 weeks out from Netflix and Tesla right now. Netflix is literally at the lows, at the most recent lows, and Elon's been after Netflix. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of earnings to justify that press down.
Everything happened after the quarter ended. So they could put it in forward guidance, but also, they don't have to. Basically, the numbers, everything would have happened after the quarter.
Yeah. But is this move down even kind of justified? I mean, it's down $100.
I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see what the stock says. Earnings 2 weeks.
Yeah, earnings 2 weeks. Probably get a little bit of a bounce, to be fair, into that. That's an interesting setup right now. Like right now. I'm looking at my chart. GE. All right, man.
I appreciate
you hopping in. I will check your stuff out. What's good about this view, Evan, is like for a trader, is that usually it's 2 to 3 weeks out that the pre-earnings run up start moving. So if we are here, then for anybody watching, what I'd say is to go not this week, not that week, but these 2 lower weeks now, you could start to look for the pre-earnings moves happening for anybody that reports October 21st and beyond. You would be positioning now for those kind of pre-earnings type moves. And we might have even gotten stuff already for stuff like a Lilly. Yeah, Lilly already moving. That was like 4 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. That's already started.
Paper.
Yeah.
I need everyone to make sure that who is watching this, to make sure you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, if you are already subscribed, hit that bell button and give this stream a like. Shout out Paper. I love these things. I'll be back more full-time next week. Maybe me. We got cool stuff coming. I know we've been saying that for a little bit, but this is a good. We got some cool stuff coming. Subscribe to the channel.
We got a lot of stuff coming. Specifically, Miss Cleo is coming too. So
Ooh.
you'll have to stop back later and you'll see it. But all right, without further ado, thank you, Evan. Let's check in with Miss Cleo. All right, guys. Okay. So if you're not familiar with Miss Cleo, what we get every week, she sends our friend, Miss Cleo, does this little thing. It's the T in TA, which stands in reality for tarot. And we get a little tarot reading every week. And sometimes she's right, sometimes she's wrong. But, it's for fun. We get a reading like this. And on the top, we get what she calls a theme card. And the theme card this week actually looks kind of cool. And then every day of the week, we get a little card for the day. So this week's theme card seems to be, this is a nice theme card. She does a reading for crypto, by the way. And the crypto reading was not good. But this is the stock reading. And this one looks good. And it looks like the world. So this looks hopeful. I'm seeing a lot of gold. So maybe gold goes on a bit of a ripper. Yes, Miss Cleo. Less Miss Cleo. So Monday, King of Cups. Tuesday, the Sun. I don't know what this is. King of Cups. That's a king. Tuesday, the Sun. Wednesday is a 5 of Cups. Thursday, the Star. Not really sure what I don't think I've seen any of the star. Usually the sun is like, I remember this, the sun is like we're flying too close to the sun. And I think we get burned a little bit. And this looks like that charity event. One of those charity events where we're giving something away. And maybe we had a lot and then we have a little. That's actually what I see here. Because we're left at with a 1. So I'm not so sure how good this actually is. Well, we went to the sun. We might have actually gotten burned here. We had to give things away. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of cups. And then we had to cool off after getting burned. But a lot of gold. All right, so let's see what she had to say. So the world is a theme card. The world's keywords are completion and fulfillment of a cycle. Crypto drew this card last Friday, and it set up for a nice Friday run that bled into the weekend. Seeing it as a theme card means that we could see a week setting up a top or a consolidation for a breakout, one of the two. Possibly. It has a tendency to mean revert in this position, so bulls should be careful. Let's see what bulls should be careful. Let's see what the daily cards say. All right. Monday, the King of Cups. This guy shows up when things get rocky and the market shows a bit of panic. His message is to stay calm and let things work themselves out. I don't see anything down, to be fair, today, but stay calm and let things work themselves out. All right. Look for a choppy day. Most rallies being sold. Well, AMD got sold off a bit. All right. Tuesday is the sun. This card loves to show up and kill rallies or save dips. All right. Yeah. So that was the one I remember. We flew too close to the sun and got burned. Mean reversion is the typical play. Trend is likely. So this is like a turnaround Tuesday, she said. So if we get a clear direction, then I would chase it. All right, Miss Cleo, I hear you. Did I get Tuesday twice? Oh, I got Tuesday twice. Sorry. So Wednesday, the Six of Cups. This card says that we're reminiscing. Oh, we're reminiscing on a time when things were better. This does not sound good. Does not sound good. In many cases, that means yesterday. Why? Because it's mean reversion time again. Well. Cups bring flowing price action that can often invoke strong feelings of fear or greed. This means that day trading calls or puts will be tricky. Slow and steady wins the race here. All right, I'm with that. Let's see. So Thursday is the star. It looks like we're taking a pause to catch our breath and do some healing. Yeah, that's what that sounded like. Go for a dip. If Wednesday is red, then there's likely a wow. So it looked good on the surface, but as I'm reading these cards, man, it just does not sound that great. It looks good, but it's not sounding that great. And there's likely a red trend day in play here. Otherwise, the best case for the bulls is to close up 0.5%. I feel like she's just calling for turnaround Tuesday, and then that's it. To go home, to just go home. Friday is the Page of Pentacles. Pages often bring new journeys, and this one is no different. It especially loves to retrace when following major arcana, and it's doing as it's doing here. So if the middle of the week was bad, then I think she's saying this is going to be good. However, this has no real historical bias other than a desire to set up a trend day. Friday trend day. Therefore, I would look for a clear direction and trade momentum for most of the day. Okay, got it. Knocked over my water bottle. If we don't pull back midweek, then we probably pull back Friday. And she's saying if we do pull back midweek, then Friday goes back to the upskis. I think that's what she's saying. I think so. Recap. There's more mean reversion here than there is for crypto, but that doesn't mean we can't have a trend day or two. Stay vigilant. That's all she says. I don't really know here. I mean, this one, I know this used to be like flew too close to the sun. This doesn't look fun because it looks like I'm giving some stuff away here, which I guess is okay. And then, yeah, go get some healing. And then over here, I really don't know what to think about this, but it looks like a lot of gold. So I'm just going to go with that. A lot of gold. And yeah, there's not a lot of data coming in. We might not get any data. So what I'll do is I'm gonna hit the index level first. And you know, the last NFP level we had was, can you guys see this okay? You should be able to see this okay. Yeah, this looks fine. Actually, but it does kind of sound like flat is the game. And patience for sure is key, which, you know, is not bad. Ooh, I like this one. mrvl looks good, Troy. I will not lie. Dude, you guys are actually on this. The whole setup. I didn't even think about that, but that whole setup kind of sounds like a cup and handle setup. That's funny. If we dip and then rip, yeah. All right. Look for the dippy dip. I had a target here at 670. So what I will say is, as long as we're holding generally 670, but here was that lower end of the channel or support trend, upside trend. This was the lower band, not band, like the lower support of the channel that SPY has actually been holding or trying to sit on. It's not the channel, like the channel itself that SPY has been moving on is higher. This is just like the new bottom end. And every time it's kind of like wicked into this, it's held. There's a red bar that you can't see. And that's like right here. And I'll make this a little bit brighter for you. That should be good. So 667 on my screen. That is a quarterly candle, which comes down from here. So quarterly, that's a 6 month or a 3 month range. So that's from July to really like September end. So this box becomes a 3 month. If I were to make a 3 month candle, this is what that 3 month candle would look like, which also means that here is the 1 month candle because this is September's low right here. So this is an important range. And then if I draw this down one more time, the weekly low of last week is going to be right here, 661. I'm going to make this weekly low. Let's call it, what do you want to do? Let's call it orange. It's pretty far away right now. I'm going to delete this green box for right now, but that's just showing you guys where the net overall trends are. But this red line, this is an important line right now. So that was the quarterly candle. This is going to end up being September high. For sure, as long as we're holding September's high, then our full uptrend is absolutely intact. This orange line here, and I can delete this channel because honestly, those channels aren't that big of a deal. This orange line right here, I'm going to say this is your downside for the week if we do lose that 667 level, and that's last week's low. For now, that actually is going to line up with the 20-day simple moving average, which is this white line right here. You may not be able to see it clean, so I'll just make it a little bit thicker for you. That's right there. That's that 20-day simple moving average. So that's going to line up just about 660. If I did like an average week's range just to, so an average weekly range is exactly that. From the open, an average week's range to the high is up to 684. So for any of your condor people, that's your upside for the week. Downside for the week is actually 659. So just slightly below that. If we lose 659, which isn't likely for a weekly move, but an extended move below that is going to be that 650, which ends up being our NFP from September. Oddly enough, that 660 is October 1st. That's also the day that we got our ADP number. So if I were to use that ADP in place of, if I were to use that ADP, let's just say I did that. Let's just say that total experiment here, that we used ADP in place of NFP for now, then it would look a little something like this. And my gut is that that's actually what the market's doing. And so we would have actually had a trigger long this morning. Wow. Literally today, because you would be looking for a full open and close day, open and close, right here. So this is your day. Open and close above. So if this is that day box, you have an open, but you don't really have a close. So that's not going to work. And then you have one day here. You have an open. You have a retest. And for all intents and purposes, we're going to close above. So you have a 1 day, 2 days, which means that tomorrow, I don't know, whatever Miss Cleo says, I don't really. If the market's actually legitimately doing this, then that would be that. So let me just go ahead and measure this as if. Since we're at the highs, it's going to be a little bit harder for most to get a trajectory here. So first of all, since I'm just running with this, halfway using ADP instead of NFP is going to be between 665 and 664. I honestly think that we actually can run with this because that's all that the market has. Really? Okay. And that gives us an upside target right now, 673. And roughly 686 for the month of November, with 2 medium targets in between. Here, just over 680. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of really like this. And just under 675. I think this goes. And this target right now, that was actually an extension of the last of down here. This was an extension target right here. So this is all lining up like perfectly. I think we're a go. I think we're a go, and I think we're a go as long as we're over 669. So I'm going to run with that, which means that dips would be anywhere in that 660 range. And you really go for liftoff like this. So if we do get some kind of a cup and handle, that puts you as close to 660 as possible at the index level. I'm going to run with that. If you want to screenshot it, have at it. But it looks like this. Take it. All right. Cool. That's SPY. Qs, I think, are going to be very similar. Yeah, if I did the same exact thing, so August 1st or October 1st, let's just run with it. We would get it today. Which means that you're going to have targets would be up here. And I even on my kind of momentum gauges, I am getting, so I'm actually getting a little bit of a overhead. You're a bit of a halfway target here. Let me just go back in. Yeah, and these were all extensions from other NFPs. So that puts this, if we were to have a big pullback, just under 600. But even now, it's that gap through October 1st, ADP, geez, the market's running off ADP. Well, I mean, that's all they have to run off of. So it makes sense. But this, even from a other technical perspective, this is a gap and go kind of setup. So opening gap through the weekend, as long as you're holding literally exactly what it held, 604, you have no reason to retrace that gap like at all. But if it does 598s, would be that perfect retracement. Okay. Otherwise, dollar not extending through. So that's good to see. Dollar getting spent elsewhere for now. This is the one other canary in the coal mine that would be cautious. The only thing I'd be cautious about here is like if this holds this 97. So that's the one thing to be careful about. Gold just ripping. Yeah, this is just new high after new high after new high. I don't think you want to get in front of this freight train like at all. Long bonds not coming down. So again, short-term duration doing better. That's good. This is good for that kind of regional setup. I think we'd possibly want to look at home builders and stuff. But I think we can go from there. So I'll go ahead and take a look at some of your requests right now. But I know Evan had a couple. We can take a look. So Apple's been pretty static. I usually use a 30-minute chart, and I'll run through these fairly quickly. 1 second. Let me take a drink. Oh, that's too hot. Oop. That was supposed to cool down already. Apple, super interesting. So Apple's been in a pretty heavy consolidation. 2 weeks. We had 1 day out. Today, back out again. If it closes over 157, this is looking, again, pretty constructive. I just made that completely horizontal just to see. So we have one attempt. This is all-time high. Oh yeah, it is all-time high. I mean, this is all-time high, so that taking a little bit of time is not gonna, that does not surprise me. So I think for that reason, you should give this multiple shots. So we have, oh, this is probably still going to happen. So in the regular session, this could take multiple shots. So this is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think this is happening. Which means that the halfway point, 255, and this general channel. Each one of these has been kind of like bought up. Yeah, every time. Between 256 and just right in here, I'd actually, boom. What is that? Between 256 and, well, this is like right now. Yeah, as long as this holds over 256 today, I think this is probably like any minute. And even then it could do this, but anything on this next go is this looks ready to rumble. What the only thing that would make this not good is that situation. that would invalidate this, which from a technical perspective, the only thing that would make that happen is some kind of other headline that I'm not aware of, which could easily do that if headlines are going to be more of a factor. And then if that does happen, let's say if it does break out, cool, where does this go? I think is more important. 265 than really in the 270s, at least from that perspective, just from this one consolidation is what you'd be looking at. It's depending on how big this gets. 272s. 265 first, for sure. All right, and then the other one he had was bmnr, which we've been watching for like ever. So bmnr, I'm going to start out a little bit further out. And you have kind of like this, bmnr has been good for a while. And this one, you have like this base here, this bottom, and then what we're coming out of here. I think the other thing to be aware of is that you are just at the tippy top of this consolidation, which usually if this happens, it's not the first one that's for a normal stock. It's not usually the one that you want to chase. bmnr's momentum, when it goes, sometimes it gets a little wild. So it's a TBD for now. We just filled what I'd call like a hard session gap, where overnight there was like an absolute straight no volume gap down here. And so you could see a squeeze. Now, the squeeze that happens here now, we don't know what that volatility could be. A normal stock, I would say, hey, look, this could be something that you don't chase and rather maybe short, especially if it stops around 65, quite frankly, for a short time, because usually these things tend to do this before they do that. And I would actually say in this case, that's still probably likely, but this overnight pullback, in a case of something like a bmnr, this might not even happen during market hours. This might be a overnight pullback and it opens here in the morning and closes here in the afternoon. So I'm not interested in this thing. Who knows? I'm just long and strong. And I think that if you've been following, then you should have gotten both this entry as well as that entry, and just sitting pretty right now, because these are the two entries that we have outlined technically on this stock multiple times. And if you do get another pullback, what I will say moving forward is that this 61 and possibly a retest later at 65 may end up in the future being net new entries if it goes higher and then retests again, anything here. So, yeah, that's what I would watch for. I would just let this go and see how she fares for now. Other than that, there's a let's say if it doesn't break out, kind of like your prevailing uptrend, if you will, comes down here. If this doesn't happen, and I'll just erase this for just a minute, what's possible is that this comes down in here and continues to kind of build, which means that this white kind of box is more along the lines of your support internally, consolidation support, which puts this, it's kind of hard to see, and it's really not that big of a support line, and I'm a bit hesitant to give it because I just don't think it's that big of a deal or structurally sound. It's more like in here, but it's 53 right in there. It's not really that 55. It's not really this gray box. quite frankly. But it's going to be a general kind of chop zone between here and here. See, under 55 for sure. Like in this general vicinity. Under 55, just around 52. That's what that consolidation would actually end up looking like if this serves as near-term kind of support. So if you're still looking to acquire and this doesn't break out, literally right here are those kind of entry points. All right. All right, I'm looking at this. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Troy had this like out of the gate. So mrvl is, I have a chart in here. So in our group, I think Troy's in the group. I have $100 calls for mrvl. Troy also has Celsius up here. So mrvl's got a couple interesting spots on this. So post earnings, big dip, a few day consolidation right off the 200 week simple moving average. That's what that purple line is down there. You have a bit of a cross, but this is the trade war zone as well, which is, I mean, just crazy to me to think that, hey, look, we're still like we were just in that not that long ago. The consolidation that you're breaking out of right now is from right here to here. And then if I draw it's going to go, this chart's going to go in the Wayback Machine right now. So $80.72, that's the 200-day simple moving average that we just recently bounced off of here, which was resistance. This is a bit of a flush zone. And when I zoom out and look left, massive resistance in the past, a big consolidation zone here. Again, huge pivot zone. So this is a big deal type of level. And the last time mrvl has made this kind of breakthrough from this area, I mean, it's just ginormous. Absolutely ginormous. So yeah, we're definitely going, just hang tight with me and I'll show you the whole story here. So this is a pivot as well. And that's at 85 from that very last kind of tippy top right in here. And if you circle back, there's a lot of reasons to look at this, but this breach here as well as over here, this is where we really kind of activate, let's call it like beast mode for mrvl. Just this bit of a breach is going to take you, as long as you're over 89, this is the move that's going to take you into those hundreds. But how we get there is, if you're familiar with any of the stuff that I do, you take this a couple different ways. But one, from the swing high, and I mean absolute swing high, to absolute swing lows, you want to know where your bears are sitting. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look, this 85 level, not only do we have that confluence from what I just looked at a moment ago, right here, but this moment that we just cracked through right now, 86, what this is from the absolute swing high to absolute swing low. That's a 50% retracement. That is a giant deal. When I say it's a big deal, because from a statistical perspective in TA, whenever you do that and you hold this level, you have an extremely high probability of going to a 618 or 65, which means that your next move is very much into, it's very much into the hundreds. And how you get there is going to just moving through that one phase of action right here. That's from 86 into what we call the golden pocket right? So if it's a bearish retracement, meaning from a bearish perspective, you're essentially filling this low volume pocket right in here. And it's where one level of bears actually cover. And if they're still going to be bearish, well, all right, that means that down here there's not a lot of reason for them to be short, but they'll get short again over here. That's $100, like $98, which means that we're really talking about this area right here, just under 100. So that move has officially been initiated as of today, as long as it can hold 80, whatever that is, 86, I think, 86.21. So yeah, it's a big breakout. We do have some dividend stuff coming, so it's possible that mrvl pays a dividend and then pulls back. But again, holding around that 85, 86 level, this move is definitively initiated into that $100 mark. What this other fib is right here, that is an extension from this last consolidation. But again, it's giving me confluence. It's pointing to the same exact spot, literally pointing to the same exact spot. So I have multiple confluences here. And then if at some point you actually get through, it's 98. I don't use other fibs other than that because there's always another kind of low volume pocket that I can look towards, that if we get through that, you have another area right here, which is 107. That's going to equate to a low volume pocket right in this area. That would be that next move from a technical perspective right in here. And if you get through that, well, this is what we're looking at. So this is a very long-term play on mrvl. It's never been short-term for me. And each one of these are kind of like the phases of price action. Again, you lose one level, you go down one level, but from 85, you're going just under 100. If you get through 98, you're going to 107 and slightly over. Then you have a large consolidation to get through. But any closes up in here, we'll talk about this later on, but this is TBD. It's a ways out. But that's mrvl. And that has been on. I slow and steady on that one. I think we're happy. Celsius is not too dissimilar. So Celsius, it's actually the same exercise. Absolute swing high to absolute swing low. You're not quite there yet. The similar level, and you can do this on all your charts, 50. So this is bearish retracement. When that first bear kind of fails, 59.97, you will very likely start heading into that next kind of pocket in here. That's to 69. It's fighting with it here and now. Does it hold? Right now it's just fighting with it, which is to say, okay, it's probably holding, which means that your kind of retracement here is going to be better as close to 56. And I would say right around this area right here. So the last low before, like you can kind of see it on the charts, but this area here is where they've been picking it up. And I have confluence in terms of from this swing low to swing high. That's what that's called on the chart, low to high. This move, impulse, if you will, if that pulls back a little bit, that's actually going to give me a bit of confluence into a 20-day simple moving average and the 50-day simple moving average. And it's going to be about a 50% retrace from this kind of impulse up. And it's also like if price did that, if price did this, you're going to get a really nice little pattern to launch you through. So I would prefer this entry in here towards 55. Tsla. This guy it's hanging on. So last Friday, it looked kind of weak, but Tesla's kind of developed a bit of a new trend channel, if you will. So this is the channel that Tesla's really developed recently. This is since mid-September. After this massive move, it started to, like, very much like a SoFi, start to develop, like, here's my series of higher highs and series of higher lows. And this just very bottom out wick ends up being at the very, very, very bottom of said channel. And where it closed was on the absolute lows of that channel. So actually, while it looked scary on Friday, that was probably your best entry point to get long Tesla in a while. I've been long Tesla for a while. I was actually toying with taking some Tesla off the table because I'm up so much on my positions that I'm like, I kind of need to start spreading this money out. I'm probably going to do so anyways, but I could still look at it and be like, look, from a risk reward perspective, it's on the edge of the fence. It was on the edge of the fence Friday, but it's still like, dude, it was just from a risk reward perspective, it was at the very, very bottom of the channel. And also 414, that was a big level to hold. 414, if you go all the way across, you have this bottom here. You didn't want to see it lose that. That was crucial. And then if you go all the way across, that was actually November 2021 high. So holding 414 Friday, key from here, key for 2021 high, key for just this more recent consolidation high. That was a big deal hold. We'll see if it stays. We're not out of the woods yet. Tesla is not out of the woods yet. And at least for now, holding that 425 area is going to be a big deal. But if this starts trending below 414, I'll just say it actually will be in trouble. And what we saw more recently has to really has to hold as a low end of the trend. Definitively for 415. Otherwise, this is going to be in a bit more danger of a legitimate pullback because the bottom end of this trend is actually way down here, more towards like 370. And I wouldn't be surprised if this took a bit of a dip, but that was a bit of a dip just Friday. So not surprised to see it get bought back up, but won't be surprised either to see it go sideways for a bit. It's one to watch. If it continues to break out, though, like if it's trending over 460 here, and this upwards channel is just like in trajectory. Like if Tesla's over 475, this is just gone. It's just gone. And yeah, we are well on our way to 550 end of year, possibly slightly higher, which would put us into that. I don't want to say 600 end of the year. That's not really realistic. 575 maybe, but definitely higher for next year. So we'll see how this goes, but it's saved by the bell Friday and opening stronger today. This needs to hold. I'd like to see it hold 425 this week at minimum. But it's a good one. Hoodie, similar. I don't think you sleep on this. I mean, it's a huge move. I mean, sure, 150 is a big psychological level. It's made a big move. I think you might see some small profit takers heading into the report, but they're going to get bought right back up the closer that we get to the report also. I would just so not worry about this. And my time horizon for Robinhood is just long. So I don't know what to say about that one. If it is over 150, trending over 150, I'm really happy. 143.69 is that quarterly level. So that was that last breakout area. So if you see it around 144, I would expect it to start bouncing actually. And you have kind of a bit of a double bottom around 145. So I still think pullbacks end up getting bought on this pretty quickly. Net. Is Meta really a buy around here? I have no idea. If it was going to hold here, that's where it would have been like quick to hold, and it was quick to fail. So that was a no. And it got to the low end of that was the target. It hit the downside target today. So the downside target was 690 today. That's all I can say. Is that a buy? All it was is the downside target. Does that mean it stops going down? I don't know. That's a really difficult question. But it was the downside target, no question on that. That was from right here and right here. So that's the 3-month low. That's from July. Yeah, from July. It's already bounced right into that key level too. It's already bounced into last week's low, but now it's at, this is probably going to be fairly straightforward. So it's right here, 710. You're going to chop. So at 710, and again at 722. Depends on your time horizon. So I can't. So for Forbes, or if anybody else really is asking yourselves this, there is no answer to this question unless you can define a buy for how long. Like, is it a buy here? It's a buy here if you expect, if you're talking about an investment timeline, meaning like if you're going to hold it for a minimum of 5 years, yes. If you're going to hold it for a day, no. If you're going to hold it for a month, no. A week, no. A year, no. I can't tell you that. I have no idea. But if you're approaching it as an investor and not a trader, for sure. Does it mean it's going to go lower? That, as a trader, you have to see a break of structure, or a couple, which right now, you're real like chain. You need both structure and character. So right now, that is definitively not going to show up until 721. So you've done a lot of damage to this chart. This chart has a lot of damage. So you need this to go up. Before I could say it's in the clear, you need this to go all the way up to 731 before I could even think about saying that this is in the clear, and hold over 730. Yeah. Other than that, you can't say that the bottom's in. Or you can't. Other than that, the trend is not out of the weeds. Other than that, you're trying to just guess. You're literally guessing. Or you'd have to throw some kind of fundamental analysis on this. But I got nothing here. Other than this is last week's lows that it's running into, which may or may not hold as resistance, or who knows. Aside from the fact that you hit your full downside target, which you did in fact hit your full downside target at 691 to the penny. Like to the penny. So target acquired, it's not a short from that perspective anymore, because you did hit that. You would need to, it's a horrible risk reward short now. So you would need to see like a full net new breakdown below 680. Yeah. This will probably go sideways for a bit. But yeah, anything could happen here. This is like a no touch. I won't look at this chart for like another month, to be fair, unless a headline shows up. Amazon. I'm interested. So last week, the last couple weeks, I've been watching this. Look, so Prime Day we have coming next week, or tomorrow apparently. I think the holiday season incoming. They had some like crap headlines the last couple weeks. This is nearing a 2-week consolidation. The bears have taken multiple shots at this. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I like this setup as something that's incoming. I have small position now, but I think a trade is coming here soon. Probably very soon. It's not like a meta. It's not out of the weeds. One of two things is going to happen though. And the more intriguing thing to me, unlike a meta, is although this has the downside target on Amazon is 210. So unlike meta, AMD or Amazon has not hit its full downside target, which would have been 210. So I guess there's that. The upside target is more like 225. So for Amazon to be out of the weeds or out of the woods, it actually does still need to be over 225 for me. But because they've tried so many times, I'm actually more interested in Amazon. I think that some of these bad headlines are probably gone. And I don't think that, I think that they have two things. One, the holiday season coming. Two, AI and their earnings incoming. Look, everyone is going to have earnings season coming around the corner. I don't know that Meta is going to be like a big beneficiary, but I know that with all the data center builds and everything, you can easily look at Amazon and be like, okay, check that box. That's going to be a beneficiary. There's no question there to me about this one. Meta would still have questions. So I think that holds, at least from that logic perspective, using that logic, like why this would hold a better base. Yeah, if this goes below that last earnings move, this looks like a buy to me here and now. And even if it gets hit on any other headlines, I think that's still a buy. And I think that even this morning it was like instant buy. But I will hold out and say, look, 210 is that lower, that downside target, and maybe your better buys. But right here now, you're right in the middle. So this can go one of two ways. I have a starter position here. It's either going to be like a liquidity kind of flush out here, and then you're finally out, and then I'll add, right? So this is a plus, or you're adding. Those are adds. Here, I'll use the arrow. So add, or add one of these two. So somewhere in these areas, because it could be like this, or this can just start to break out now, one of those two. And this is ready to roll. So it doesn't have to come down, but if it does, great, cool, that's still a buy. Or if it starts to break out, this is still a buy. So net, I'm in here, and I'm either going to have all clear or I'm going to get a little bit better price. But I think this looks like a better setup into next year. I've liked Amazon for a while. It was just Bezos got in the way and kind of ruined this chart. From here moving forward, though, into the end of the year, this takes it actually over 250, closer to 260. And then you're actually off of that. You're still in that 275. And this is that full year, next year view. So here's this view from that pullback retracement. Now you have a better consolidation. It's still setting up for that 2026 real breakout. And all this is a bit of a retracement from here to here. And it would be holding off the 200-day. And that's what this would end up looking like into the 250s towards next year. But also like Google looking good, 250. Anytime, like, it's always just been this weird thing. Whenever Google's more expensive than Amazon, if you bought Amazon in those scenarios, it's you could backtest that. But whenever Google's more expensive than Amazon, buying Amazon ended up being a good play. It's a weird thing. But yeah, I think this looks like a pretty good base. A lot of buying coming off this morning session on Amazon. I like it. I like it a lot for a lot of different reasons, regardless of holidays. I mean, AI data center builds happening every time, whether or not they get this because they're doing a lot of CapEx, but I think people are going to be buying from them, and they'll have that extra resurgence in revenue expansion. Other than that, one thing before I head out, and I'll leave you with this one, SMCI, man, I will say, regardless of whatever, this to me remains like the biggest no-brainer in the market. Like, even though it's had huge days, I don't know if you guys realize where this is from a chart perspective, but this is Liberation Day. $49 is a Liberation Day levels. So yeah, scar tissue, whatever. That's a Liberation Day levels. I get it, $55, sure, whatever. Even that last move last week, and even this move this morning into 55. This is still like just barely off of Liberation Day levels. We're talking about AMD, OpenAI type of move. We're talking like CoreWeave, Meta data center builds, Microsoft, Nebius, by the way, probably a really good buy. But all that stuff gets built on Dell and SMCI any way you slice it. And regardless of accounting issues, regardless of getting booted from the NASDAQ 100, technically speaking, oh, by the way, like little packet peeking out right off the tip of this. This is Liberation Day pricing. That's dumb. I just feel like that's not, there's zero problem. To me, there's no way that this company does not report their biggest freaking quarter ever. And there's no way that people don't be like, okay, fine, I'll get back in. There's like, this is just like crazy. There's zero chance to me that doesn't happen. regardless of how many RSUs they issued, regardless of, how many capital raises they've done, minimum 80 or 70. I mean, just whatever. Whatever. Liberation Day type levels here. That's just, I just don't understand. I mean, I understand it. Trust me, I understand it because I've been burned myself plenty of times here, but I just can't think of a scenario where this doesn't report their best quarter ever. I just can't. Can you guys, like, if you're bullish on AMD, or if you're bullish on NVIDIA or Intel or any semi stock, like, how does this not make sense? All right. CRM $10 candle. Stop it. Oh, that is a big candle, CRM. You got me on that one. Analyzer got me on that one. He made me look. Yeah. Dreamforce is the best force. Let's go, Shirley. Tim, no. So, like, here's the thing. I SMCI, they like to pre-announce, so you don't know. I got to figure out what's going on with my SMCI position here. I'm not going to do anything here. SMCI likes to pre-announce. I don't know when it's going to happen. I think the market's coming around to it. I think it's obvious. It's a no-brainer. And, it is what it is. But, and it's starting to peak right out of this next level of consolidation. It's going to be an undeniable chart once they see it. If you're already up in an obscene amount from when we started talking about this, I'm not moving. I'm not budging. By the time I'm up 500% on an option position, people are just going to be noticing it. If you're not familiar with how we roll, sorry, I'm going to stop now. But that's what's going to happen. But I don't think that I want to try and take a short dated call or options. Like, it's just what it is. You don't know. You don't try and time this like super perfect. It's, and then when earnings do come, look, what's also true is that server margin sucks. There's going to be a lot of people coming out of the woodworks that are like, oh, it's a 9% or sub 10% margins. There's no moat on the company. All these things are absolutely true. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid here. I'm not suggesting anybody should, but I think you could serve it because this doesn't make a lot of sense. Just fundamentally. Anyways, but yeah, I wouldn't try to be short dated. Options are actually still cheap because of how sideways the stock has been, and it's a rare opportunity to get long dated options on a cult stock like SMCI this cheap. So I wouldn't. So I'm taking advantage of that personally for like 2027, 2028 call options, and my shortest date is like 2026 January. But anyways, other than that, I got some questions like nbis. I think is just like, this thing is looking good, but maybe a little extended. Also, like data center stuff, CoreWeave. This is getting close. Once this guy starts to go, that's gonna be crazy. But more time sideways, I think, might be needed here. There are a lot of really good ones. Oh, I mean, I was leaving, and then you guys start getting me with my babies. No, I didn't cover PayPal. If you had asked me about Arista, then you might have got me. But this is on my baby here. But yeah, this one, I mean, again, looking really good. Extensions and oh God. I don't want to read that number out loud. So this is the same stuff. Like, this is how it works. These are this exercise. Nice double bottom, 186. Look at that. I mean, that's just beautiful breakout retest. You go, and once this is over 235s, 236s, this is gone. Sayonara. That was with a totally English accent. But that's got a 300 number on that one. Holy moly. Yeah, they're all ready. These are my babies. Sorry. These are my favorite stocks. 170s. Yeah. It's all looking good, guys. Apple, Microsoft for sure. Stop it. Oscar I like for sure. But I think Oscar is long term. All right. You guys have asked for PayPal. I'll give it to you. This is deep value. Deep value. We're going to like this. We're going to do the same exercise. Swing high, swing low. Where you want to be a good bull, you want to know where the bears live, and you want to know where they're going to cover. I actually think you might be really close right about now. So I'm going to do two of these because one is an extension. Not yet. So you're going to get to that 200-day, 73. So you usually play this simple moving average ping pong. That's a blue, white, and red. So when you cross this 200, this white, that's the 20-day simple. And then blue is that 50-day simple. So you're clean over. You're going to 73. I think that's a foregone conclusion. And you're probably going to get to 75s. And you might stall out. And you're probably going to chop around. Boom, 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 boom. In between 75 and 73. Then you're probably going to hit earnings. And then it's going to be show me story. And I know that the storyline on PayPal is very much fundamentally driven. And this is going to make a lot of sense from a technical perspective, though, to get stuck in between 72 and 75. I don't know where the valuation lands there. I would call Roy. I know everybody thinks it's underrated. It might be justifiably underrated, but here's where the technicals will meet your fundamentals. If it gets over 75 and a half, for sure you go. This is what I'll say is if you get over 75 and a half, 75.5, there is a extremely high likelihood that you get to 80 in very short order. And if you can hold 78, which is going to be that 200-week simple moving average, then and only then do you get to 90. And at 90, you're going to have what's called a fair value here. And we're going to do this twice here. 1, 2, because this is your ultimate swing high, swing low. And we're going to come in at this base. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I got double confluence here, guys. So exactly the same box that happened. So right here, again, 75. Double confluence. I didn't plan that. That's exactly what just happened. 74.98. Boom. This is massive overhead resistance. Double confluence, meaning once you get here, it's an instant shot into just under 80. And that's exactly that same kind of exercise that I've been doing over and over because it works. This is a bearish retracement. If for whatever reason you're actually holding over 80, all right, well, this is a big show. And that's when I will probably get very interested. And that's when the real show really begins. Between now and then, you're really kind of just like preheating the oven. The turkey really gets stuck in if you're really cooking over 80. Everything between now and then, It's all prep work for the big show. You're preparing for the big show. This is all like posturing, getting ready, but nothing really happens until you're well over 80. Hopefully that helps. And then it's game on over 90. And you don't touch this bad boy, because if it's over 90, your next stop's in the 120s. If that's the case, which is why, like, for me, I'm not in a rush, because that's exactly what the price action is telling me. And like way down here, it's all just like preparation, because the big show's not even begun. They're just like, this is like pre-sales tickets for possibly a show that may or may not happen later on down the road from a technical perspective. Now, if you know something that says something different from a fundamental perspective, it's a whole nother story. But from a technical perspective, I just told you the story that price action is telling. Hopefully this helps. All right. I am going to end it on that. And I think that was pretty good for you guys. So with that said, I appreciate everybody who's hopped in. But make sure you guys give the stream a like. Please follow the channel. We'll have some more stuff happening sooner than later. And for now, have a good week, guys. We're on to the next, and I will see you on the next one. Adios.